Week 2, Breath as a Gateway to Healing. Welcome back to the Schnarr podcast, and welcome to Week 2 of our Somatic Healing Journey. I'm Schnarr, and I'm glad you're here. Every week we come together to grow and glow, learning to live more fully, more consciously, as we glow from the inside out. This is Week 2 of 12 of the Schnarr podcast Somatic Healing Series. If you're following along in my 12-week Somatic Healing book, that's great. If you don't have the book, that's absolutely fine, but you will want something to write with and to write on. If you'd like to get the book, just go to the About section of the Schnarr podcast, wherever you found this episode, and there will be a link to my 12 Somatic Healing Coach Sessions for Coaches and Individuals book on Amazon. Or you just go to Amazon and search for Schnarr Coach. That's Schnarr Coach. Be sure to check out the barberschnarrpodcast.com. You can find the daily motivations, latest podcast episodes, and links to all the books. And be sure to follow me on all the socials too. I'm everywhere. Last week, we explored the foundations of somatic awareness and began developing a deeper relationship with the body through observation and curiosity. We learned that the body is constantly communicating with us through sensations, tension patterns, emotions, and subtle signals that often go unnoticed in our busy lives. This week, we're focusing on one of the most powerful tools available for deepening that awareness and supporting healing: breath. Breathing is something we do every moment of every day, yet most of us rarely think about it. It happens automatically, without effort or conscious control. Because it's always present, it can be easy to overlook its importance. However, the breath is far more than a biological necessity. It serves as a direct connection between the mind and body, influencing our emotions, our nervous system, energy levels, and even our overall sense of well-being. Unlike many bodily processes that operate entirely outside the conscious awareness, breathing occupies a unique position. It can function automatically, but it can also be consciously influenced. This means that we have a remarkable ability to use our breath as a bridge between conscious awareness and unconscious physiological processes. Through intentional breathing, we can influence heart rate, muscle tension, emotional regulation, and even our perception of stress. Before we dive deeper into the science and practice of breath awareness, I'd like you to consider your current relationship with your breath. Many people spend years moving through life without ever noticing how they breathe. If someone asked you right now whether your breath tends to be shallow or deep, fast or slow, chest-centered or belly-centered, would you know the answer? Take a moment to imagine pausing during your day and simply observing your breathing. Not changing it, just noticing it. What would you discover? Would you notice a tension in your chest? A tendency to hold your breath during concentration? A rushed breathing pattern when you're stressed? Or perhaps a sense of openness and ease? The answers aren't important because there's no right or wrong answers. The value lies in becoming aware. And awareness is always the first step towards transformation. One of the most fascinating aspects of breathing is its relationship with the nervous system. To understand why breath work can be such a powerful healing tool, it helps to understand what happens inside the body during moments of stress and safety. The autonomic nervous system regulates many of the body's automatic functions, including heart rate, digestion, blood pressure, and breathing. It contains two major branches that play important roles in our daily lives. The sympathetic nervous system is often referred to as the fight or flight system. When the brain perceives a threat, whether real or imagined, this system prepares the body for action. Heart rate increases, muscles tighten, blood flow shifts towards areas needed for survival, and breathing often becomes faster and shallower. This response is incredibly useful when facing genuine danger. Our ancestors depended on it for survival. The challenge is that modern stressors can activate the same system even when there's no physical threat. Financial worries, work deadlines, difficult conversations, social pressures, and endless notifications can all trigger stress responses within the body. Many people spend large portions of their lives functioning in a state of low-grade nervous system activation. The parasympathetic nervous system serves as a balancing force. Often referred to as the rest and digest system, it helps the body recover, restore, and conserve energy. When this system becomes more active, heart rate slows, muscles soften, digestion improves, and the body experiences a greater sense of safety and regulation. One of the most effective ways to support the parasympathetic activation is through intentional breathing. This is why breath work has become such an important component of trauma recovery, stress management, emotional regulation, meditation, and somatic healing. Breath offers a doorway to the nervous system. When we change our breathing patterns, we send signals throughout the body, and the body responds accordingly. Think about what happens when you get startled. Your breath often catches. When you're anxious, your breathing may become rapid and shallow. When you're crying, your breath changes rhythm. When you're relaxed, your breathing naturally slows and deepens. Breathing doesn't simply reflect emotional states, it also influences them. Rather than being passive recipients of stress responses, we can actively participate in regulating our internal experience. One of the most effective foundational breathing practices is diaphragmatic breathing, sometimes called belly breathing. To understand why this practice matters, let's talk about the diaphragm. Diaphragm is a large dome-shaped muscle located beneath your lungs. It plays a central role in respiration. When the diaphragm contracts, it moves downwards, creating space for the lungs to expand. And when it relaxes, the lungs naturally empty. Many adults primarily breathe into the upper chest, particularly when stressed. And this style of breathing often limits oxygen exchange and reinforces patterns of tensions throughout the body. Babies, on the other hand, naturally breathe with their diaphragms. If you've ever watched a sleeping infant, you've likely noticed their belly rising and falling with each breath. Diaphragmatic breathing invites us back into this more efficient and supportive breathing system. As you practice, place one hand on your chest and the other on your abdomen. Just notice which hand moves more. Then, without forcing anything, begin allowing the breath to travel deeper into the body. As you inhale through the nose, notice the expansion of the belly. As you exhale, notice the gentle release. There's no need to take giant breaths. In fact, forcing the breath can sometimes create additional tension. The goal isn't maximum breathing. The goal is awareness and ease. As you continue practicing, you may notice some surprising responses. Some people experience relaxation almost immediately. Others become aware of tension they hadn't previously noticed. And some discover emotions surfacing unexpectedly. This can happen because breath awareness increases contact with internal experience. Many of us spend years distracting ourselves from uncomfortable emotions. When we slow down and pay attention, those emotions may become more noticeable. That doesn't mean anything's wrong. It's a good thing. It means your awareness is increasing. One of the most valuable applications of breathwork involves navigating emotional discomfort. Human beings naturally try to avoid difficult emotions. We distract ourselves, we suppress our feelings, we stay busy, or we push emotions aside. Yet, emotions don't simply disappear because we ignore them. They often continue influencing our thoughts, behaviors, and physical sensations. The breath can provide support during these moments. Imagine feeling anxious before an important conversation. We have all been there. Rather than immediately trying to eliminate the anxiety, you might pause and notice your breathing. What's happening in your body? Is your chest tight? Is your jaw clenched? Are you breathing quickly? Instead of resisting the experience, bring awareness to it. You allow the breath to accompany the emotion. You create space for the feeling rather than immediately fighting against it. It's a little shift, but it can dramatically change your relationship with your difficult emotions. And rather than becoming trapped in a struggle against your experience, you learn to remain present with it. Presence often reduces suffering more effectively than resistance. Throughout this week, I encourage you to become curious about situations in which you unconsciously hold your breath. Breath holding is surprisingly common. People often hold their breath while reading emails or concentrating on tasks, scrolling through social media, driving, or even anticipating something stressful. Some researchers have identified a phenomenon called email apnea, where individuals unconsciously stop breathing or significantly reduce their breathing while working at a computer. The body interprets these breathing disruptions as signs that something important or threatening may be occurring. Over time, these patterns can contribute to increased stress and tension. As you move through your daily activities, notice when your breathing changes. Notice what triggers those changes and how your body responds. This awareness alone can do wonders. Breath awareness doesn't have to be limited to formal practices. Some of the most meaningful shifts occur during ordinary moments. While waiting in line, notice your breath. Before answering a difficult text message, notice your breath. As you prepare a meal, notice your breath. You get it. Each moment becomes an opportunity to reconnect with yourself. Another fascinating aspect of breathwork involves the use of sound. Many cultures throughout history have incorporated chanting, humming, singing, and vocalization into healing and spiritual practices. Modern research suggests that vocal sounds may stimulate portions of the vagus nerve, a key component in the parasympathetic nervous system. Have you ever noticed how a deep sigh can create a sense of relief? Or how humming can feel soothing? That's not accidental. The body is responding to vibration, sound, and breath working together. This week, experiment with adding sound to your breathing practice. Try a long hum during an exhale. Notice the vibration in your chest, throat, or face. Observe how your body responds. You may discover that sound creates a greater sense of grounding and release. Movement can also deepen breath awareness. Walking, stretching, yoga, tai chi, and other forms of mindful movement naturally encourage greater attention to breathing patterns. As you move, notice how your breath shifts. Does it become deeper, more rhythmic, more expansive? Movement and breath are natural partners. Together, they help create a stronger connection between awareness and physical experience. As we come to the end of this week's exploration, remember that the goal isn't to become a perfect breather. There's no award for taking the deepest breath, and there's no scorecard. This is about relationship. The breath is always available. It accompanies you through every experience of your life. It's present during moments of joy and grief and excitement and fear and celebration and uncertainty, and it asks for nothing. It simply continues. When we begin paying attention to it, we gain access to a remarkable resource for healing, regulation, and self-understanding. As you reflect on this week, consider what you've learned about your own breathing patterns. What situations influence your breath most strongly? When do you feel most open and expansive? When do you feel constricted? What happens when you consciously return your attention to your breathing? These observations become valuable pieces of information as you continue your somatic healing journey. Next week, we're going to build on this foundation and continue exploring ways in which the body stores experience, communicates wisdom, and supports healing. Until then, remember that your breath is never far away. One breath at a time, you're building a deeper connection with yourself.